Hey, thanks for joining us here at First Church of God. And as always, if ever you are in Cushing, or maybe you live in Cushing, we love to have you join us in worship. We always like to see people, and people really do matter. In fact, we count how many people are here on Sunday because people count. A number of years ago, my wife and I started this thing. We call it staff meeting. And what happens is the two of us go out for breakfast, usually on Saturdays. And we started this when we felt the kids were old enough to stay at home by themselves. And we told the kids, we have a couple rules for you. Do not call us unless somebody is dying, bleeding, or puking. You know what? The kids did a great job of respecting us and allowing us to have that time of breakfast together. But it wasn't about just the food. We took our calendars, and the wait staff knew that we need to give them a table that will seat 4. 2 is not big enough, because we would go over our calendars to see who was going to have which kid where and when. So it was a lot about our communication and learning to do it. Now, keep in mind, this is our staff meeting. We love to say hi to other people when they come into the restaurant. They come by us, they say hi. We don't mind saying hi, but we do not allow other people to join us at our table without special invitation, because this is our time. Now, if somebody wants to pick up our check and pay for it, yeah, go ahead. We don't mind a bit. And that's happened. So why the rule? Because we need this time. We cherish this time. We have very busy schedules. We love other people, but we have to guard our hearts. We have to guard our time, because there are so many demands on our lives and demands on our marriage. We have to protect it. Now, as you know, I do illusions and I do ventriloquism. And I am a member of a national organization known as Fellowship of Christian Magicians. I know a lot of magicians, a lot of friends. And we have this chapter, we have this group that meets in Tulsa the second Monday of the month. We used to meet at a restaurant, and then we started meeting at a pizza restaurant known as Mazzio's. It met in the Farm Shopping Center at 51st and Sheridan. That's not where we're meeting now. So if you're watching this and wondering if you could come, we have a different location. Well, it was a pretty good setup for us at this location. Now, I have a friend by the name of Kevin. Good name. And he would bring his wife and daughters to the club meetings. Well, one night, my friend Kevin ordered pizza for his wife and children and him, and they were sitting there and they were enjoying that, when all of a sudden somebody that came to the meeting walked up to their table and took a slice of their pizza and went and ate it. They were different, and different is different. And we have to adjust our sales to people that may be a little bit different, or maybe they just didn't understand what they were doing or the setup that we had. But the lady walked up and helped herself to their pizza. She didn't ask. She didn't think anything of it. She just did it. It wasn't different. It was weird. I don't even know if she paid to have the buffet that we were open to. So can you imagine someone coming up to your table at a restaurant and taking food from it? Now, there is a parental French fry tax, which is totally legal, and it doesn't matter how old you are as a child. If you're sitting there with your parents and you have fries and they take one, it is legally okay. It's a parent tax. But somebody else coming up and touching your food, you're not going to let them do it twice. What happened at that restaurant was unfair. It was unethical. It was wrong. You're going to stop somebody if they ever try it again. But think about my wife and I having staff meeting and somebody coming in and invading our time. Oftentimes, life isn't fair. It isn't easy. And no matter how close we walk with God, there are going to be times that are difficult. Life can throw us a lot of different obstacles and distractions in our path. And I'm not just talking about a text message or an interruption. I have seen so many of my friends in recent weeks and months that struggle in life. There is sickness, there is grief, there are struggles. And I wonder, is there an occupation where you don't have feelings and you just don't have to worry about it? Well, if there is, I'm not qualified for the job because I have feelings, I care. And when my friends or you are hurting, I struggle. And I'm not asking for a pity party. And if I threw a pity party, nobody would attend. I'm reminded of something that God showed me back in 2020. I was visiting in another place, and God showed me that the enemy was getting ready to start an attack, and he was coming after pastors. He was starting in the east and moving to the west, and his idea was, or Satan's attack was, he was going to attack the people of the church, because if he can attack the people of the church, it distracts the pastor, and the pastor doesn't spend the time he needs in presence of God. But more recent years, the enemy has changed his attack away from the people and started attacking the pastor's family. That's why you and we need to pray for pastors and their spouses and their children, because this attack is real. The greatest thing that you could do is to pray for your pastor. And I know how much people pray for me by how well I sleep at night. And some of you need to get a little bit busy, please. God will wipe out our enemies if we will walk in obedience to his word. So like ants, doubt and fear, which are enemies, they come to the picnic, whether we invite them or not. I am reminded of a passage in Habakkuk 3:17 and 19. It says, even though the fig tree has no blossom and there are no grapes on the vines, even though the olive crops fail and the field lies empty and barren, even though the flocks die in the field and the cattle barns are empty, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in the God of my salvation. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes me as sure-footed as a deer, able to tread upon the heights. So, what is the answer? I think the answer to what we are facing can really be summed up in 9 simple words. Don't give the enemy a seat at your table. Don't give the enemy a seat at your table. We all have an enemy, and you can start pointing fingers and say it's this person or that person, and you know what? That's not your real enemy. Your real enemy is Satan. He's just using other people to try to make you think that they're the problem. His purpose, his plan, is to come to steal, kill, and destroy. He isn't worried about how, it's more about who he destroys. And in the Bible, we are warned of his operation. 1 Peter 5:8 says, be self-controlled and alert. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Now, if you ever watched Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom when you were growing up, one of the things we learned is the female lion does most of the work. The male lion lays around. Why? Because his heart is so small. He can't chase after the game. But the enemy, our enemy, roams around like a roaring lion. He's not a lion. He just acts like one, and he tries to intimidate us. And we've got to stay close to our shepherd, because he knows what we need, and the enemy knows he doesn't have what it takes to get us. But we've got to keep up our guard. We can't forget that our enemy Satan doesn't give up. Remember, right after Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden because of their sin, along comes Cain and Abel, and they're supposed to bring their offering. And God is pleased with Abel's offering, but Cain is very jealous because God accepts Abel's offering and rejects his. And God speaks to him and says in Genesis 4:7, if you do what is right, you will not be accepted. If you do what is right, you will not be accepted. I'm sorry. But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you. You must rule over it. There's an old Hanna-Barbera cartoon called The Flintstones. Meet the Flintstones, or maybe you remember that. And at the end, Fred would put the cat out for the night, shut the door, and the cat, as soon as he turned around, the cat would jump back through the window because the cat was crouching at the door. Satan is looking for a way in. He's there to steal from your plate, your table. And I think it's more than just resist the devil and resist temptation. James 4:7, submit yourselves to God, resist the devil. We can't resist him on our own. We need the power of God in us. So, tucked along the pages of this passage we've been looking at for the past several weeks, Psalm 23, beautiful passage, written in present tense, written for us, very personal. It's all the pronouns are personal pronouns, not a group thing. It says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. He goes on to say, you anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. We'll talk about that another time. But I feel as we look at this, the shepherd is good. The sheep need the shepherd. They're not the brightest animals in nature. They don't have the best eyesight. Goats are driven, sheep are led, and if you don't watch the sheep, they can go and get themselves in trouble in a stream. That's why it says he leads me beside still water, because sheep can very easily get swept into the water. They need a calm place. They have poor vision, and so they become easy prey for those who might eat them. And in this passage, this is a declaration. It tells us all the powerful and wonderful things that God the Father does for his sheep as they follow him. And this is for followers, not for stragglers, the loyal ones. This table that he prepares before us, it's not a table where there's chairs all around. There's two chairs, one for him and one for us. Remember, this psalm is for individuals, not for a group. You prepare a table before me, not us. We would love to have our friends around, but this is between us and God. This is our intimacy with God. And the one who's prepared the table has a seat, and we have a seat. All this food that is before you, none of it is junk food. None of it is fast food. None of it's microwavable. It's prepared. It's not leftover. It's fresh. And the Father is sitting at the table, and he looks at you and he says, "My child, how are you doing? Now go ahead, eat. I want to spend time with you. I want to talk with you. I fixed this for you." Our response to what the Father has done is so important. Think about our response to the invitation. Wow, Jesus, this looks so great. Let me grab some. I got to go. I got to run. I got to do this. I got to do that. I'm very busy. Oh, pardon me. I got this friend. He's calling me on my phone. I got to catch up with them. I'll catch you later. And we leave the table that is overloaded with the best that we can imagine, and we take it on the run. Here's the danger. Someone else comes and sits at the table because you neglected to sit with the one who set it. They started eating what was prepared for you. Someone else is eating what was made for you. This isn't food with preservatives. This isn't something that we can put in a to-go box and heat up later. I think of it more like the manna that God gave the children of Israel for the 40 years they wandered in the desert. It was what they needed, and they were told, don't take more than what you will need for the day, or it will spoil. Only take what you need. And that's the way this presence of God, this sitting with the Father at the table is. It's for the moment. It's for the day. Our enemy sits and he comes to the table and he's trying to distract us, and he will sit there stealing the food that the Father has set before us and say, "How you doing? How are things in your relationships? Is she still nagging you? Does he ignore you because of his work? Does she play so many games on her phone and not have time for you?" You know what you need to do. The enemy will tell you. You need to leave her. You need to move on. You're too good for that person. They're such a bum. Remember so-and-so? You might want to look them up. I hear they're available. How's the job? The boss still a jerk? You should leave. Just get up and leave. Don't give them any notice. They don't treat you well enough. They don't treat you like you should. You've been putting up a lot of hours. You deserve a break. Why didn't you sleep in on Sunday? You don't need to go to church. You know, you and I were not the first ones that are seated at the table somebody's been trying to steal, because I remember what Jesus says in Luke chapter 22, verse 31 and 32. He says, "Simon, Simon, Satan wants to sift you like wheat, but I have prayed for you Simon, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. Now, we could switch our name with Simon's, with Peter, Simon Peter. Satan still wants to sift you. Sin is crouching at your door. Satan wants to do more than sift you. He desires, his plan is to steal, kill, and destroy you. He doesn't want you sitting at a table and enjoying the fellowship with the Father, because if you linger at the table, he is threatening to you. We have a choice of who sits at the table. And we're the only ones who are in control of how long we stay at the table. Who or what we worship is what we become like. We all worship someone or something. So worry is worship. Worship is, the meaning is to give worth to. Worry is worship. It is simply pointed in the wrong direction. Worry is a man-made idol. Your cell phone could be your idol. It gives you more to worry about. But what did Jesus say to Peter? He says, I have prayed for you. So that means we must matter to Jesus. Prayers do not have expiration dates. Jesus prayed for Peter, and when Jesus prayed for Peter, he was praying for us as well. And if you are not careful, we're going to end up allowing the enemy to have a seat at the table. Paul says in Philippians 4:4, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. So he's beginning this passage saying, reminding us, rejoice in Jesus. Not in what you have, but about our eternity. Have you rejoiced that he is preparing a place for you in heaven? What about what it says in Isaiah 43:1-3? Do not be afraid, for I have ransomed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. When you go through the deep waters, I will be with you. When you go through the rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. When you walk through the fire of oppression, you will not be burned up. The flames will not consume you, for I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. You see, he wants us rejoicing over what is good in our life, and sometimes even rejoicing over those things that he has protected us from. Rejoice that your health is okay, or the good health that you have, not all the things you've got going wrong. Rejoice that you are a believer, that we are known by Jesus, that we are developing a relationship at this table that he has prepared, that we get to enter into his manifest presence and allow him to fill us and to overflow out of us. And the items at the table that have become a blessing, they have become a blessing that we can be a blessing to others. He says, rejoice in me. And then he says, let your gentleness be seen by all. The Lord is nearby. Do not be anxious or overwhelmed or filled with fear of what will probably never happen, but in everything with prayer and petition with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. Then the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. I think he's telling us the table prepared for us in the presence of our enemies. It's not 7-Eleven. It's not fast food. It's not a convenience store where we run in, tell them what we need, and run out the door, because convenience stores, they sell overpriced junk food. And Jesus says, what I've got is better. Come and taste and see that it is good. So why do we run when his goodness is chasing us? Why not stop, sit, and taste and see that the Lord is good? What will it take in your life to stop and sit at the table? To tell the enemy of our mind that he is not worth listening to, so take a hike. To tell the one who is the father of lies and speaks nothing but lies that he is not invited to the table. I tell you, it's going to take more than reading a devotion out of a book and saying some prayer that you've repeated 1,000,000 times and time again, and start saying, speak, Lord, because I want to hear you. What do you need to do differently to be able to slow down and sit with God the Father? What will it take to put that idol away and tune into the Father? In the roller coaster of life, this is what the Father says, 1 Corinthians 12:9, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. Trust me, stay close to me at the table. I was raised in Illinois, and in Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, maybe even Indiana, there is a sandwich that, oh, it is so good. It's called a pork tenderloin sandwich. So if you're in Oklahoma, you've heard of a chicken fried steak. Imagine that idea, but instead of whatever they put inside of it, there is a pork tenderloin. And I'm not talking the size of the bun. I'm talking you could divide this and have 4 buns and feed 4 people. They're huge. They are delicious. My wife refers to them as a heart attack on a bun. They're very hard to find in Oklahoma, and if you find one, they are just about bun size. Yeah, it's just not the thing that we had back in Illinois and Missouri. But don't you have a food that you really like? And when you have it, it's a treat. We hunger for those special foods. What the shepherd has prepared for us at the table is well worth sitting down and spending time enjoying. And you will hunger for what you like. You can increase your hunger for what you like by having more of what you like. We need to eat what is right for us. I'm not talking physical, but spiritually. We need to eat what is right for us. Not necessarily convenient, but what is good. And as we stop and we slow down and we sit at the table, God begins to show himself to us. Philippians 3:10, I want to know Christ. Yes, know the power of his resurrection and participate in his suffering, becoming like him in death. He said, I want to know, not know about, I want to know Christ. I want to move from interested to intimacy. Here's some things that you can do to show up, for God to show up in your life and protect your table. Number 1, set a time. Set a time. Mark 1:35, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to the solitary place where he prayed. With Jesus, it's a great place to start the day. In bowling, sometimes a bowler will loft the ball when he releases it, and it hits the bowling alley with a thud, but it sets it so it's on a course to go fairly straight towards the pins. Meeting with Jesus at a particular time, it means you are seeking him first and nothing else. You are setting your life on a mission. Letter H, hunger. Jesus was headed back into town, and he was hungry. And there needs to be this hunger for Jesus. Without him, we can do nothing. Matthew 5:6 says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. And what great parent doesn't ask their family, did you get enough to eat? Or if you're out to eat, they come by and they say, would you like dessert? Oh, yeah. Hunger. Letter O, obey. Without obedience to God's written word and his spoken word, you're going to be a lost sheep. You're going to be prey for the enemy to come and snatch and devour you. And what does Jesus say in John 14:21? Whoever has my commands and keeps them is the one who loves me. The one who loves me is the one loved by my Father, and I too will love them and show myself to them. Everyone, even the person on the corner begging for food, has the omnipresence of God because God is everywhere. But the manifest presence is when God shows up in your life because you've walked in obedience to him. And letter W, work out. I'm not talking about going to the gym. I'm talking about working out your salvation. Philippians 2:12, continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. So what is the conversation that you need to have with God the Father to allow him to show you what needs to be done differently in your life? What needs revealed to you to get to the place where you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you say, God, I need your healing. I'm reminded of Proverbs 26:11, and I know this isn't good just before lunch, but it says, as a dog returns to its vomit, so a fool repeats their folly. When are you going to stop the folly and start following? I know it's close to lunch, but when you will admit that you have been trying to feast at the table that wasn't meant for you, it's time to move tables. You got to guard the table. You got to guard what is meant for you. And you got to, what's been given to you, because you are loved with a greater love than you ever will know. Blessings.